The morning sun peeked through the curtains as Rena woke up with a smile. Today was her 25th birthday, and for once, she had allowed herself to feel excited about it. Normally, birthdays passed like any other day in her busy life as an office assistant at Kumar Technologies, but this year was different. Her boyfriend Vikram had insisted on making it special. After dating for almost 3 years, he had finally agreed to meet her work friends at the small party they had planned in the office break room. It was a big step for him, as he usually avoided her workplace gatherings, claiming they were boring and a waste of time. Rena checked her phone and found 15 birthday messages already waiting. Her best friend Preya had sent a funny gif with the message, "Happy birthday. Can't wait to celebrate with you today." Her parents had called early before leaving for their morning walk, their voices warm with birthday wishes. As Rena got ready for work, she took extra care with her appearance. She wore the light blue dress she had been saving for a special occasion and the small silver earrings Bikram had given her last month. She even put on a touch of makeup, something she rarely bothered with for regular office days. The bus ride to work seemed quicker than usual. Rena watched the city come alive through the window, feeling a pleasant mix of excitement and nervousness. Vikram had texted that he would bring a special cake from Golden Bakery, the expensive one across town that everyone loved but few could afford regularly. When Rena arrived at the office, she found her desk decorated with colorful paper flowers. Meena from accounting had made them herself, a talent few knew she possessed. A small wrapped package sat beside her computer with a note from her manager, Mr. Sharma, to our hardest worker on her special day. By lunchtime, the break room transformation was complete. Someone had hung a happy birthday banner across one wall. Balloons floated in corners, and a table had been set up for food and drinks. Nothing fancy, but to Rena, who had grown up in a small village where birthdays meant simply an extra sweet after dinner, it looked magical. Her colleagues began gathering at 12:30. Rena checked her phone. Vikram had promised to arrive by 1:00 p.m. with the cake. She had told everyone to wait for him before starting the celebrations. "He's bringing something special," she had said proudly to Priya, who had raised an eyebrow but said nothing. At 12:55, Rena's phone buzzed. It was Vikram. "Stuck in traffic. We'll be there in 20 minutes. Start without me." Rena felt a small drop in her happiness but quickly pushed it away. "He's making an effort," she told herself. "He's coming to meet my work friends and bringing an expensive cake." At 1:30, while her colleagues chatted and snacked on the samosas and chips someone had brought, Rena kept glancing at the door. Preya squeezed her hand supportively. When Vikram finally walked in at 1:45, Rena immediately sensed something was wrong. His face was tight, his eyes slightly red. He was carrying the cake box, but also a coffee cup that he gripped too tightly. Instead of apologizing for being late, he scanned the room with a suspicious look. The happy chatter in the room slowly died down as people noticed the newcomer's strange mood. Rena walked toward him with a welcoming smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Something in her heart warned her that her perfect birthday was about to change in ways she couldn't imagine. Rena's colleagues gathered around as Vikram placed the cake box on the table. The beautiful chocolate cake from Golden Bakery had "Happy Birthday, Rena" written in pink icing. For a moment, Rena felt relieved. Maybe she had imagined his bad mood. "Thank you for coming," she said softly to Vikram, touching his arm gently. He pulled away slightly, his eyes now fixed on her phone, which lay on the table beside the paper plates. Mr. Sharma, her manager, stepped forward with a friendly smile. "So you're the famous Vikram we've heard so much about. Rena talks about you all the time." Vikram barely nodded in response. He kept looking at Rena's phone, which was lighting up with new messages. The screen showed a text from someone named Rohit with a birthday wish and a heart emoji. "Who is Rohit?" Vikram asked suddenly, his voice cutting through the cheerful atmosphere like a cold wind. Rena blinked in surprise. "He's the new project manager. He joined last month." She reached for the phone to show him, but Vikram was faster. He grabbed it and started scrolling through her messages. The room grew quiet. Preya stepped closer to Rena, sensing trouble. "Maybe we should start cutting the cake," she suggested, trying to change the subject. Vikram ignored her, his face growing darker as he read through Rena's messages. "You seem very friendly with this Rohit. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. The coffee break was fun. What is this, Rena?" Rena felt her cheeks grow hot as everyone watched. "He's just a colleague. We work on the same team." Her voice trembled slightly. This was not how her birthday celebration was supposed to go. He sent you a heart emoji on your birthday, Vikram said, his voice rising. And you replied with a smiley face. Mr. Sharma cleared his throat. I think this is perhaps a private conversation. No, Vikram cut him off. I want to know what's happening right here, right now. He turned to face the room. Does everyone know Reena has been secretly messaging another man? Reena felt tears forming in her eyes. Vikram, please. Not here. There's nothing happening with Rohit. He's married with 2 children. We're just work friends. Work friends don't send heart emojis, Vikram insisted, his grip tightening on the coffee cup he was still holding. I checked your call history too. You talked to him for 20 minutes yesterday. About the project deadline. Reena said, her voice rising to match his. You can ask anyone here. We had a major report due yesterday. Meena from accounting nodded. It's true. The whole office was working late on that report. But Vikram wasn't listening. His eyes had found another message, this one from Reena to Priya. Sometimes I wonder if he is the right one for me. The silence in the room was heavy now. Reena wanted to disappear. She had written that message 3 weeks ago after a big fight with Vikram when he had missed their anniversary dinner. So I'm V now? And you're questioning our relationship to your friends. Vikram's voice was dangerously quiet. Vikram, please. Let's talk about this later. It's my birthday, Reena pleaded, reaching for her phone. Your birthday, Vikram repeated, as if the word tasted bitter. The day you get messages from other men and talk about me behind my back. Priya stepped between them. I think you should leave, Vikram. You're ruining her day. That was when Vikram's control snapped. His eyes narrowed, his breathing turned heavy, and his grip on the coffee cup tightened so much that his knuckles turned white. Ruining her day, he said through clenched teeth. She ruined our relationship. No one in the room was prepared for what happened next. Time seemed to slow down as Vikram raised the coffee cup. Later, when people talked about what happened, some would say they saw it coming, but no one moved to stop it. In one quick motion, Vikram threw the coffee directly at Reena's face. The dark liquid splashed across her cheeks, forehead, and the light blue dress she had chosen so carefully that morning. A collective gasp filled the room. Hot coffee dripped from Reena's hair onto her shoulders. The beautiful silver earrings were now hidden behind wet strands of hair. For a moment, no one moved or spoke. Even Vikram seemed surprised by what he had done. Reena stood frozen, her eyes closed tight against the sting of the coffee. When she finally opened them, the look in them was not what anyone expected. There was no fear, no tears, just a calm that seemed out of place in that chaotic moment. Mr. Sharma was the first to break the silence. That's enough. You need to leave now before I call security. His normally gentle voice had turned hard with anger. Meena rushed forward with tissues, trying to help clean Reena's face. Are you okay? Did it burn you? She asked with concern. But Reena gently pushed Meena's hands away. I'm fine, she said with surprising steadiness. Her voice was quiet but clear enough for everyone to hear. Vikram still held the empty cup, his anger now mixing with shock at his own actions. Reena, I didn't mean. Yes, you did, she interrupted, her eyes now fixed directly on his. You meant to hurt and embarrass me, and you succeeded. The office's security guard, Mr. Patel, appeared at the door, likely called by someone in the room. Is there a problem here? He asked, eyeing the scene with professional caution. Vikram threw the empty cup on the floor. This is between me and Reena. Everyone else should mind their own business. Not anymore, Reena said, taking a step toward him. Coffee still dripped from her chin onto the floor. Not when you make it public like this. The room watched in stunned silence. This was not the Reena they knew. The quiet, always agreeable Reena who apologized even when things weren't her fault. Something had changed in those few seconds when the coffee hit her face. You've been acting strange ever since you started this new project, Vikram accused, his voice rising again. Working late, always texting, being too busy for me. Priya moved to stand beside her friend. You should leave now, Vikram. You've done enough damage. But Reena held up her hand, stopping Priya. No, let him speak. I want to hear what else he has to say. Her calm voice contrasted sharply with the tension in the room. Vikram seemed thrown off by her reaction. He had expected tears, shouting, drama, not this eerie calmness. You're making me look like the bad guy here, but you're the one hiding things, he said, his voice less certain now. Rena nodded slowly, as if considering his words carefully. You're right about one thing, Vikram. I have been hiding something. The room grew even more silent, if that was possible. Even Mr. Patil, who had moved closer to Vikram, paused to listen. I've been hiding how unhappy I've been, Rena continued, her voice growing stronger with each word. I've been hiding how tired I am of walking on eggshells around your jealousy. I've been hiding the fact that I've wanted to end our relationship for months but didn't have the courage. Vikram's face changed, the anger draining away, replaced by surprise. What are you saying? Rena wiped coffee from her face with the back of her hand. The birthday banner hung crookedly behind her, a sad reminder of what this day should have been. She looked at the cake, still perfect and untouched in its box, then back at Vikram. I'm saying thank you, she replied with a small, sad smile that confused everyone in the room, especially Vikram. Thank you for giving me the push I needed. The tension in the room could have been cut with a knife. Coffee stains spread across Rena's blue dress, creating dark patterns that looked almost like a map of unknown territories. Perhaps that was fitting, because Rena was entering new ground with every word she spoke. What do you mean? Thank you? Vikram asked, his voice now uncertain. He had expected tears, pleading, or even anger, not this strange calmness that made him feel like he was losing control of the situation. Rena took a deep breath and looked around the room. Her colleagues stood frozen, watching this drama unfold in their usually boring break room. She could see concern in their eyes, but also something else, respect. She had never stood up to Vikram before, at least not in public. I've spent 3 years making excuses for your behavior, Rena said, her voice steady despite the coffee still dripping from her hair. 3 years telling myself that your jealousy meant you loved me. 3 years believing I wasn't worth more than this. She gestured down at her ruined dress. But seeing myself through their eyes right now, she nodded toward her colleagues. I finally see the truth. No one deserves this, especially not on their birthday. Mr. Sharma stepped forward. Rena, would you like to go clean up? You can use the executive washroom. His offer was kind, but Rena shook her head. Not yet, she said. I need to finish this first. Vikram's face darkened again. So you're going to humiliate me in front of everyone? Is that your plan? A small, sad laugh escaped Rena's lips. Do you hear yourself? I'm standing here covered in coffee that you threw at me, and you're worried about being humiliated? Priya had moved to the table and was quietly cutting the cake, an action so normal in the midst of this chaos that it seemed almost absurd. She placed a piece on a paper plate and walked toward Rena. Vikram watched this with growing confusion. What are you doing? He demanded. It's still her birthday, Priya replied simply, and this cake looks too good to waste. The simple act seemed to break some of the tension. A few nervous laughs came from the back of the room. Mr. Patil, the security guard, relaxed his stance slightly, though he kept his eyes fixed on Vikram. Rena looked at the cake in Priya's hands, the expensive cake from Golden Bakery that Vikram had brought as a peace offering or perhaps as a shield against criticism. The perfect chocolate frosting and pink lettering stood in stark contrast to the mess he had made of her appearance and her day. What happened next would be talked about in the office for months to come. Rena took the plate from Priya with a smile. You're right. It does look too good to waste. Then she turned to Vikram, who tensed visibly, perhaps expecting retaliation. Instead, Rena held the cake out to him. Would you like the first piece? You did pay for it after all. Confused, Vikram hesitantly reached for the plate. As their fingers touched during the exchange, Rena looked directly into his eyes. This is the last thing you'll ever give me, Vikram, she said quietly. And it's the last time I'll ever accept anything from you. The room held its collective breath. What are you saying? Vikram asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm saying we're done, Rena replied, her voice growing stronger with each word. Not just because of today, but because of all the days before when I let fear keep me silent. 3 years is long enough to learn that some people will never change. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small key, the key to Vikram's apartment that she had carried for the past year. She placed it on the table beside the cake box. I don't need this anymore, she said simply. Vikram stared at the key, then back at Rena's coffee-stained face. For the first time, he seemed to truly see what he had done. "Rena, please," he started, his anger now replaced by panic. "We can talk about this. I lost my temper, but—" "There's nothing left to talk about," Rena interrupted, her voice gentle but firm. "Some birthday gifts come in strange packages. Today, you gave me my freedom back." The cake trembled slightly in Vikram's hands as the meaning of Rena's words sank in. His face cycled through emotions: confusion, disbelief, and then anger again. The plate wobbled dangerously as he set it down on the table with more force than necessary. "You can't break up with me here, like this," he said, his voice rising. "Not in front of all these people. They don't know our relationship. They don't understand us." Rena touched her coffee-soaked hair, pushing a wet strand behind her ear. The silver earring Vikram had given her caught the light for a moment. With steady fingers, she removed both earrings and placed them next to the key on the table. "I think they understand perfectly now," she replied. "They saw exactly who you are when you threw that coffee at me." The room remained silent, but the atmosphere had changed. What had started as a birthday celebration, then turned into a scene of shock and embarrassment, had now become something else entirely, a moment of transformation that everyone present could feel. Mr. Sharma checked his watch and then addressed the room. "I think we should give Rena some space. Let's continue our workday and perhaps celebrate properly another time." His words were professional, but the proud look he gave Rena spoke volumes. As people began to move toward the door, Vikram's panic grew visible. "Wait! You can't all just leave. This is between me and Rena." "Not anymore," Mr. Patel said firmly, stepping closer. "The young lady has made her position clear. I think it's time for you to leave the premises." Vikram turned back to Rena, his eyes now pleading. 3 years, Rena. 3 years together, and you're throwing it all away because of one mistake." Meena, who had been quietly collecting the used cups and plates, stopped what she was doing. "One mistake," she repeated, her normally shy voice surprisingly strong. "I've seen those one mistakes on Rena's arms before. The bruises she tries to hide with long sleeves even in summer." Rena's eyes widened at Meena's words. She had never told anyone at work about the other times Vikram had lost his temper. She had become an expert at hiding the evidence, at making excuses, at forgiving what should never have been forgiven. "Is that true?" Priya asked, shock and hurt in her voice. "Rena, why didn't you tell me?" "Because she was ashamed," Vikram said quickly. "She knew she pushed me too far sometimes. She knows how to make me angry." The moment the words left his mouth, Vikram seemed to realize his mistake. The look of disgust that passed across the faces of everyone in the room told him he had just confirmed their worst suspicions. Rena shook her head slowly. "No, Vikram, I was ashamed because I stayed. I was ashamed because I thought I deserved it. I was ashamed because I wasn't strong enough to walk away." She straightened her shoulders, despite the coffee stains spreading down her dress. "But not anymore." She turned to Mr. Sharma. "I would like to take the rest of the day off, if that's okay. I need to pack my things from his apartment while he's here." Mr. Sharma nodded immediately. "Of course. Take tomorrow too if you need it." Vikram took a step toward Rena, but Mr. Patel moved quickly between them. "That's close enough, sir," the security guard said firmly. "Where will you go?" Vikram demanded, his voice a strange mix of anger and desperation. "Your name isn't even on the lease. You need me." For the first time since the coffee had hit her face, Rena smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes and transformed her coffee-stained face into something beautiful and strong. "That's where you're wrong," she said softly. "I don't need you. I never did. And watching you throw that coffee made me finally see it." She picked up her phone, the device that had started this whole scene, and slipped it into her pocket. Then she turned to Priya. "Could you come with me to his apartment? I won't take long. Just my clothes and a few personal items." The sun was still high in the sky when Rena and Priya entered Vikram's apartment. The place that had been Rena's part-time home for almost 2 years now felt like a stranger's house. She walked through the living room, noticing small things she had never paid attention to before. How there were no photos of her on the walls, how the furniture was arranged exactly as Vikram wanted with no input from her, how even the plants she had brought to add life to the space had been moved to corners where they barely got enough light. "I'll get the suitcases from the closet," Priya offered, heading toward the bedroom. Rena nodded silently and walked to the bathroom. The coffee had dried on her skin, leaving sticky patches that pulled when she moved her face. She looked at herself in the mirror, really looked, perhaps for the first time in months. Her blue dress was ruined, dark coffee stains spread across the front like an ugly map. Her carefully applied makeup was smeared, and her hair hung in damp, sticky strands. But her eyes were clear and steady. They were the eyes of someone who had finally woken up from a long, troubled sleep. As she washed her face, scrubbing away the coffee and tears, Rena thought about the moment in the break room when everything had changed. Not when Vikram threw the coffee, but afterward, when she had found her voice instead of her tears. Back in the bedroom, Priya was efficiently packing Rena's clothes into a large suitcase. "You don't have as much here as I expected," she commented, folding a sweater. "He didn't like me leaving too many things here," Rena explained, helping with the packing. "He said it made the place look messy." Priya shook her head but said nothing. They worked in comfortable silence for a while, the only sound being the soft thud of clothes being placed in suitcases. "You can stay with me until you find a new place," Priya finally said. "My spare room is small, but it's yours for as long as you need it." Rena paused in her packing, a wave of gratitude washing over her. "Thank you. I'll start looking for my own place right away." "No rush," Priya assured her. "Just focus on yourself right now." As they were finishing, Rena's phone buzzed with a message. She tensed slightly before checking it, half expecting an angry text from Vikram. Instead, it was from Rohit, the project manager whose innocent message had sparked Vikram's jealous rage. "Heard what happened. The whole office is talking about how brave you were. Take all the time you need. We got the project covered." Another message came in, this one from Meena. "My cousin is a lawyer who specializes in domestic cases. Let me know if you want her number." What Vikram did was assault Rena. The messages continued to arrive as she packed, supportive words from colleagues she had never even spoken to outside of work meetings. Each one was like a small brick helping to build a foundation under her shaking new reality. When they were done packing, Rena looked around the bedroom one last time. Her gaze fell on the bedside table where a small framed photo stood. The only picture of her in the entire apartment. It was from their first vacation together, before things had started to change, before the jealousy and control had slowly tightened around her life like an invisible chain. She picked up the photo, considered taking it, then placed it face down on the table. "Ready?" Priya asked, zipping up the last suitcase. Rena took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes, I think I've been ready for a long time, just too afraid to admit it." As they wheeled the suitcases out of the apartment, Rena paused at the door. 3 years of her life had been spent loving a man who had just publicly humiliated her, a man who had made her feel small in 100 different ways before today's coffee incident. She closed the door behind her, not bothering to lock it. She no longer had a key, and she no longer needed one. The sound of the door clicking shut was like the period at the end of a very long, difficult sentence. In the taxi heading to Priya's apartment, Rena looked out the window at the city streets. The same buildings, the same traffic, the same world. But everything had changed, including her. 1 week had passed since the coffee incident. Rena sat in a small cafe across from her office building, stirring her tea slowly as she watched people hurry by on the street. She had returned to work 3 days after her birthday, expecting whispers and stares. Instead, she had found a workplace transformed by what they had witnessed. Mr. Sharma had called her into his office her first day back. Rena had walked in nervously, prepared to apologize for the scene in the break room. But before she could speak, he had surprised her. "I want to offer you the team lead position on the new marketing project," he had said without preamble. "I've been considering it for some time, but after seeing how you handled yourself last week, I'm convinced you're the right person for the job." Rena had been speechless. "But the incident with Vikram. I thought you might be upset about the disruption." Mr. Sharma's kind eyes had turned serious. "Rena, you showed more professionalism and dignity in that terrible moment than many people show in their entire careers. That's exactly the kind of strength we need in leadership positions." Now, sipping her tea, Rena thought about how much had changed in such a short time. She was still staying in Priya's spare room, but she had already looked at 3 apartments and found one she liked within her budget. The team lead position came with a salary increase that would make living alone comfortable for the first time in her adult life. Her phone buzzed with a message. For a split second, her heart raced with the old fear that it might be Vikram. But those messages had stopped 3 days ago, after Mina's lawyer cousin had helped Reena file for a restraining order. The message was from Rohit. Team meeting at 2 p.m. to discuss your ideas for the new campaign. Everyone's excited about your approach. Reena smiled and replied with a quick thank you. I'll be there. She had worried that the coffee incident would define her at work, that people would see her only as a victim. Instead, they seemed to see her as someone who had found her strength in a difficult moment. The respect in their eyes made her stand taller, speak more confidently in meetings, and share ideas she would have kept to herself before. As she finished her tea, the cafe door opened and a familiar figure walked in. Meena spotted Reena and came over with a shy smile. Mind if I join you? My lunch break just started. Please do, Reena said, genuinely happy to see her. Meena had become an unexpected friend since the birthday incident. The quiet accountant had revealed depths that Reena had never noticed before. Meena sat down and placed a small, wrapped package on the table. I know it's a week late, but happy birthday. Reena looked at the gift with surprise. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to, Meena said simply. After what happened, I realized I should have spoken up sooner about the bruises I noticed. Maybe if I had. Reena shook her head firmly. Don't blame yourself. I wasn't ready to hear it then. We can only change things when we're ready to see the truth. She unwrapped the package carefully. Inside was a beautiful journal with a pattern of butterflies on the cover. The first page had a quote written in Meena's neat handwriting. Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. I thought you might want to write about your journey, Meena explained. Sometimes putting words on paper helps us understand our own strength. Reena ran her fingers over the smooth cover of the journal. The butterflies seemed to flutter under her touch, reminding her of her own transformation. Thank you, she said softly. I think I will write about it. Maybe someday it will help someone else find their voice too. The two women sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the world go by outside the window. Reena realized she no longer flinched when men walked past their table. She no longer kept her phone face down to hide incoming messages. She no longer made herself smaller to avoid attention. The coffee stains had washed out of her hair and skin easily enough, but the stains Vikram had left on her confidence and self-worth had gone deeper. Those would take longer to fade. But with each day, each small victory, each moment of standing in her new truth, they were growing fainter. We should head back, Meena said, checking the time. Your first team meeting as leader starts soon. Reena nodded, gathering her things and the new journal. She was ready to write the next chapter of her story. One word, one day, one small brave step at a time. The office break room looked festive with colorful decorations hanging from the ceiling. A large banner read, Happy Birthday, Reena, in bright letters. This year, the celebration was bigger, with nearly twice as many people gathered around a table filled with snacks, drinks, and a beautiful cake from Golden Bakery. Reena stood in the center of the room, looking around at the smiling faces of her colleagues. No, her friends. She wore a new blue dress, chosen deliberately to replace the one that had been ruined a year ago. Her hair was styled differently now, shorter and more confident, just like her. Speech, someone called out, and others joined in, clapping and laughing. Reena raised her hands, smiling. Okay, I'll keep it short. She took a deep breath, looking around the room. 1 year ago, in this very spot, my life changed forever. Not in the way I expected, but in the way I needed. The room grew quiet. Everyone knew the story. It had become something of a legend in the office, especially among the newer employees who had only heard about it secondhand. I thought that was the worst birthday of my life, Reena continued. But looking back, it was actually the beginning of the best year of my life. Mr. Sharma nodded proudly from the corner. Under his guidance, Reena had excelled as team leader, bringing in 2 major clients with her innovative marketing campaigns. 3 months ago, she had been promoted again to department manager. I want to thank all of you, Reena said, her voice strong and clear. Especially those who were here that day and showed me what real support looks like. Priya wiped a tear from her eye. She and Reena had become even closer friends over the past year. Though Reena had moved into her own apartment 6 months ago, they still met for dinner twice a week. Meena stood nearby, no longer the shy accountant but now head of the finance department. The quiet strength she had shown that day had inspired her to pursue her own growth, both professional and personal. Some of you have asked me if I've heard from Vikram, Rena said, addressing the question many were curious about but few dared to ask directly. The answer is no. The restraining order is still in place, and from what I understand, he moved to another city 4 months ago. She paused, then added, "But this birthday isn't about him. It's about celebrating how far we can all go when we decide we deserve better." Rohit, the project manager whose innocent message had triggered the incident a year ago, raised his glass of juice. To Rena, who taught us all what real courage looks like. To Rena, the room echoed, raising their cups. After the toast, as people began to enjoy the cake, a young woman from the customer service department approached Rena timidly. "I hope you don't mind me saying this," she said, her voice soft. "But your story, it helped me leave my boyfriend 3 months ago. He never threw coffee at me, but he was, controlling in other ways." Rena squeezed the young woman's hand gently. "I'm glad you found your way out," she said. "It gets better, I promise." Later, as the party wound down and people returned to their desks, Rena stayed behind to help clean up. She carefully folded the birthday banner, planning to keep it this time as a reminder of how far she had come. Mr. Sharma came back into the break room as she was finishing. "Happy birthday, Rena. I have some news I wanted to share with you privately." Rena looked up curiously. "The regional director position is opening next month," he said. "I've recommended you for it. It would mean moving to the head office, of course, but I think you're ready." Rena's eyes widened. The regional director role was 5 levels above her current position, a jump that usually took years to achieve. "Are you serious?" she asked, hardly daring to believe it. Mr. Sharma nodded. "Completely serious. Your work this past year speaks for itself, but more importantly, your leadership qualities are exactly what the company needs." As Rena walked back to her office, she thought about the journey of the past year. From a woman who couldn't even stand up to her boyfriend to someone being considered for regional director. From someone who apologized for taking up space to someone who confidently led a department. From someone who hid bruises under long sleeves to someone who helped others find their strength. She sat at her desk and opened the butterfly journal Mina had given her a year ago. It was nearly full now with her thoughts, fears, triumphs, and growth. On the last page she wrote, "Today, on my 26th birthday, I finally understand that sometimes the worst moments in our lives lead us to the best places. A year ago, coffee stains showed me my worth. Today, I celebrate not just another year of life, but a life reclaimed and rebuilt, stronger, braver, and completely my own."